9 weird and strange prohibitions in China you won't believe are real. Welcome back to the Wistery. Have any of you here been to China? Please comment now on what you know about the most populous country in the world. My dear, when mentioning China, people immediately think of a country with a large population. Besides, it is extremely diverse in customs and culture. But in this country, there are also taboo laws, which you absolutely must follow while living or traveling in this country. So, what are the prohibitions and how strange are they? Let's watch the whole video today. And don't forget to vote for the band that you think is the most absurd. You won't have to wait long, now we will come to today's video. Number 1. Don't use red pens to write people's names. At first, this taboo sounds like nothing, but behind it is a very deep meaning. In the past, red was always a color that symbolizes joy, happiness, luck, and prosperity. And according to Chinese culture, red has those meanings. However, you should never use red to write people's names because the Chinese use red to write the names of the dead on gravestones. And they think that writing someone's name in red on paper or typing on a computer is a great insult to that person. Furthermore, red is also the color of aggression and conflict. So in the past, if warriors wanted to fight to the death with someone, they would write the enemy's name in red ink in the letter of challenge. In modern times, this may mean that they don't want to keep contact. Apart from these notions, in fact, in today's daily life, red ink is often associated with negative factors. Red pens are often used only to correct mistakes, so if used in other situations, it will easily create feelings of discomfort and may even make some people feel disrespected. Of course, with spiritual and conceptual things, there will be people who believe and there are some who don't, but many people still say, pray for holiness, be patient for good, and it is still best to respect the beliefs of others, especially when you come to China. And next is a band that sounds pretty funny and weird. Number 2. No green hats. Is there anyone here who loves green? Please comment if you are a fan of this fresh color. My dear, in China, you can see a green shirt, a green bag, or a pair of green shoes, but you will never see someone wearing a green hat. And this is a taboo that not everyone knows. This habit originated from the story of a woman who cheated on her husband. To avoid detection, she decided to sew a green hat for her husband. Every time her husband came home from work, she could see the green hat from afar, and it helped her lover escape in time. So, every time the Chinese talk about a man wearing a green hat, it is implied that he has been cheated on by his wife. Therefore, foreign tourists wearing a green hat cannot avoid the curious glances of local people towards them. So if you go to China, choose a different color hat to wear, otherwise people will think you are the Lord of the Horns. And next is a forbidden thing that you absolutely must not commit. Number 3. Say no to tips. Has anyone ever worked at a restaurant and received money from customers? Please comment on your feelings after being tipped by a customer. In some other Asian countries, restaurant staff can still accept tips from customers, especially Western customers. According to some diners, the salary of restaurant staff is very low, and they have to rely on this tip to survive. So, tipping waiters, no matter how much or how little, is a must. But for the Chinese, it is completely different. In most places in China, people do not have a culture of giving tips or receiving tips. In fact, this is also not allowed in law. For this densely populated country, tipping is considered unusual or even rude. Most state-owned restaurants and hotels are prohibited to accept tips from tourists, except for private hotels and services, or expensive Western-style hotels in Beijing and Shanghai. Therefore, tourists do not have to pay any tips in China. Tipping taxi drivers is also prohibited, and tipping is also considered impolite. And next is a taboo that you must not do when eating at a restaurant in China. Number 4. Don't pour soy sauce on white rice. Normally, when we go to restaurants, if there is a dish that doesn't satisfy our taste, we can completely add seasoning to make it more delicious. But in China, this is an insult to the cook. If you don't know, it's very easy to make a mistake. In luxurious Chinese restaurants, if you pour soy sauce over the rice, it is disrespectful to the chef because the chef has seasoned the dish perfectly. Therefore, holding a jar of soy sauce and pouring it on your plate of rice is an insult to the cook. So if the rice is bland or not to your taste, try to eat it. Don't pick up a bottle of soy sauce and use it, lest people see you as a creature from Mars. And the next thing that is quite absurd. Number 5. Choose an umbrella or a watch as a gift. This is the top object in the list of the most hated gifts by the Chinese because giving a watch in Guangdong language is the homonym for the word the end gift, which means to care for or bury a dead relative. This taboo once led to a diplomatic crisis when Baroness Kramer, the British Transport Secretary, gave the mayor of Taipei a pocket watch as a sign of friendship. However, the mayor then announced that he would either give the gift back to someone else or sell it to a scrap collector. If you accidentally or intentionally give someone a watch, they will refuse to accept it. You will even be hated and the gift will be mercilessly thrown in the trash. In addition to watches, one gift you should not give to the Chinese is umbrellas, because the Chinese consider giving umbrellas as a sign of separation. Especially couples should not give each other umbrellas, otherwise it will be easy for them to break up. These taboos in China seem simple, but this is also a very important thing to keep in mind. And next is another absurd prohibition. Number 6. No live streams and ban on social networks. My dear, live streaming on Facebook and YouTube platforms is very common in countries around the world. But in China, live streaming is not allowed because it cannot be censored by online platforms. However, this is not the main reason they give. The ban is necessary to clean up the Chinese internet. The ban was issued in June 2017 and targeted Sina Weibo, China's Twitter, some form of social network. In general, in China, anything that is not censored and not under the control of the Communist Party is never released freely. Even social networks such as Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, or Google are not allowed to circulate in this country. They completely use their own websites only. Next is a very absurd and somewhat cruel taboo in this country. Number 7. No third child. As we have seen, the birth of a child is the joy of both the country and the society. But for the Chinese, a country with a large population that accounts for 1/8 of the world's population, this is a terrifying ban. Previously, they forbade any family to have a second child, and if there was a second pregnancy plan, they were forced to abort it mercilessly. However, after that, the birth rate in China plummeted, so they only banned families from having a third child. And it is known that families with 3 children will be fined huge sums, lose their jobs, and be put in prison and in the blacklist. China will have a population census every 10 years. According to a 37-year-old woman in Beijing, this investigation has revealed her family secret. In March 2019, she gave birth to her 3rd daughter. Then she and her husband have tried to keep their child as secret as possible in case they are punished. They have never dared to post pictures of their baby on social media. Their friends and colleagues do not know the existence of the baby. In many other countries, the government even encourages the citizens to have children or to give birth to more children. They also reward money, and some countries still raise children until they are 18 years old. But here, giving birth is not different from a wanted criminal. Next is a ban that you will be very disappointed with. Number 8. Foreign films are prohibited. Is there anyone here who often goes to the cinema? Comment on the movie you've seen in this comment section below. If you are a fan of foreign films, it is very exciting to see a new released movie. But in China, this is a complete luxury because not only are foreign social networks banned, but even their movies are also banned from showing in Chinese theaters. It is known that China only allows 34 foreign films to be shown in theaters each year and restricts Hollywood blockbusters. The films which are allowed to release are still under strict censorship by the authorities. Scenes that are thought to be offensive or destructive, such as talking about human rights and religious rights, must be removed. Filmmakers are expecting China to increase the number of films allowed to be released soon, and not only foreign films but also Chinese domestic films must also be under very strict censorship by the authorities. But it is also currently somewhat easier than the past. And next is a ban you must always remember. Number 9. Don't touch the locals. My dear, in many different countries around the world, when people meet, people often shake hands. Even in Western countries, they hug and kiss when they meet. However, for the Chinese, this is not necessary. When you meet a Chinese person, just nod and say hello. Actions like shaking hands, hugging, and kissing are unnatural and will make them uncomfortable. Do not bow too deeply, as well as hug or kiss when saying goodbye. Remember these rules. Guys, recently we have discovered a lot of strange and somewhat absurd bans in China. Which ban is the most impressive to you? Please leave a comment to let me know what you think. If you liked the video, give the Wistery a like and subscribe to the channel to always be the first to watch the latest and greatest videos from the Wistery every day. Thank you for watching the video, and now see you in the next videos.